The other thing, David, is just that Alex Jones is one of the hosts. We know Alex Jones. He's host of InfoWars. He kind of also shares that Venn diagram common space with Kokesh, I would say, in terms of what we might call the libertarian right. And he sees a conspiracy theory at just about every turn. We know he thought that the Boston Marathon bombing was a false flag. But if the government wanted to kind of... the government doesn't need an excuse to prevent the armed protests from happening. And the truth is actually, Kokesh had said as part of the announcement that if they were prevented from law enforcement from entering the city with their arms, then they would have no choice but to turn back or to be willing to be arrested on the spot. That they had specifically said that there was not going to be acts of violence. It doesn't seem like the government really needs a pretense or an excuse to somehow shut that down or find a way to get rid of that. But they're not doing themselves any favors by potentially arresting Kokesh frivolously. And I think that's a good thing to point out.
I agree. And let me make a couple of things clear about this march that he's planning on July 4th. I think it's a really bad idea to try to carry loaded weapons in Washington, D.C., and to band together with other people with your loaded weapons and try to march around the streets. There's so many Secret Service, there's so many police who are not going to find that very funny or very amusing. And I don't think they'll be able to even cross any one of the bridges before they get arrested. And the potential for danger when you invite 4,000 people who are so fervently supportive of their gun rights to do this, I think the potential for danger in a fiasco is enormous, even if Adam has somewhat noble ambitions. Having said that, I agree with Adam 100% about the nonsense of that you can't dance at the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. I mean, he was arrested because of a court decision that said, dancing is not allowed at the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. That's ridiculous. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to recognize, as you said, Thomas Jefferson would have been outraged. And even though we may feel outraged about Adam's desire to have an open gun carry march in Washington, D.C., that doesn't negate the fact that I agree with him 100% that the idea that you can be arrested for dancing at the Thomas Jefferson Memorial is crazy. I mean, Thomas Jefferson Memorial was a great, makeout spot for a lot of us back in our day. If you can't dance there, you can't make out there. Well, then everybody's going to have to get arrested in Washington D.C. who stops by that memorial at night with, if you're young and single. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so, folks, even though we may think, well, this Adam Kokesh guy's a little bit nuts, and who on earth would want to try to challenge the police and possibly bring loaded weapons into D.C.? And I agree with you, but let's not, throw everything that he does out the window, because on some of these issues, and I'll agree with them on whether it's marijuana or whether it's dancing at the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, any other memorial, the idea that you could be arrested for that is insane. And maybe the courts have validated that law, but I salute activists like Adam who are willing to get arrested to make a point, that, some of these laws are crazy and do not serve the greater good. So, in any case, we're going to try to get Adam on our show later this summer, and folks, no worries, I think we'll get him, and we'll have a rational and reasonable conversation with him about a lot of his views.
And David, I should just add, to be clear for our viewers and our listeners, Adam and his sort of staff were extremely aware that you and I and just about everyone associated on this show that we've ever had on are very adamant about gun safety and greater gun regulation, and that did not deter him at all. So that's something that I can just sort of behind the producer's screen in terms of booking. That is something that we let people do their own research on what we're about, but it was clear to me that they were aware of that, and many guests from all kinds of different ideological persuasions are much more squeamish about sort of speaking and confronting people with whom they disagree. And so hats off in that regard, and we hope that he gets out of jail soon.
Absolutely. Great point. Coming up, we're going to talk with Cliff Shuster, We Act Radio. We'll talk a little bit about some of the latest that's been happening in conservative media. Cliff Shuster on We Act Radio's Take Action News on the other side of this break.